Okay, so let's have a look at the 2022 Leaving Cert Ordinary Level Maths Paper 2. This is question 1. So parts of the lines AC and BC are shown in the coordinate diagram below, which is not to scale. Find the slope of AC. Okay, so a couple of ways of doing this. We can have a look at the 2 points, for example. We can have a look at the first point would be minus 2, 0, and the second point is 0, 3. So that's just looking at these 2 points here, 2 endpoints of the line segment. We can then use the formula m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we can say, let's see, 3 minus 0 divided by 0 minus 2, and that'll give us a slope of 3 over 2. Now that's one way of doing it. An easier way of doing it then would be just to look at the triangle itself. So we have this triangle here, and all we got to do is look at the rise over the run. So you got 3 up along here, 2 along here, so it's just simply 3 over 2. So that's the other way, so rise over run. Okay, so that's that one. Let's have a look at the next part. By using slopes, investigate if AC is perpendicular to BC, justify your answer. So we've got to find the slope of this line, the slope of this line here. Now we've already found the slope of this line is 3 over 2, so let's find the slope of this line. Again, we can look at it and say, well, it's going to be 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 over 5, rise over run. Okay, but it's sloping this way, so it's negative, so it's actually going to be minus 3 over 5. Just look at the points again, it's 0, 3. So we have 0, 3. And we have also got 5, 5, 0. So the slope then is just going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that'll give me a slope of minus 3/5. So to prove then that 2 lines are perpendicular, you take the 2 slopes and multiply them, and you should get minus 1 if they are perpendicular. So we're going to take 3 over 2, multiply it by minus 3 over 5, and that'll give us a minus answer anyway because it's plus times minus. Top times top is 9, bottom times bottom is 10, so we get minus 9/10. That's not equal to 1, therefore they're not perpendicular. Okay, so that's part 2 done. Oh, we've got to tick this box as well. AC is not perpendicular to BC. Okay, so let's have a look at B then. The triangle LMN is shown on the coordinate diagram below, which is not to scale. So that's this triangle here. The point M has coordinates 9, 1. So the coordinates here are 9, 1. The triangle LMN is symmetrical about the y-axis. Okay, so about the y-axis is symmetrical. That means this point over here then is going to be minus 9, 1. Now find the length of LM. A couple of ways of doing this. I mean, you can use the formula. The distance from L to M is the square root of x2 minus x1 to be squared plus y2 minus y1 to be squared. So you have your 2 points, put them in there and you'll get your distance. But a much easier way to do it is just look at this line here. It's a straight horizontal line. It goes from minus 9 up to plus 9. So the distance is just going to be, the distance from L to M is just equal to 2 times 9, if you like, 18 units. And that's it. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. Write down the equation of the horizontal line LM. Well, horizontal lines and vertical lines are the easiest ones to write the equations of. If you look at this horizontal line here, you have minus 9, 1, you've got a plus 9, 1, you'll have a 0, 1 here. In other words, all the y coordinates of all the points on this horizontal line here will be 1. So the equation of the horizontal line will just simply be y is equal to 1. And that's it. That's all you got to do there. Okay, the line NM has equation x plus 4y minus 13 is equal to 0. X and y are real. Use this equation to find the coordinates of the point N. So you got to find the coordinates of this point here. Now, this point here, by the way, is on the y-axis, which means the x coordinate is going to be 0. So it's going to be 0 something. Okay, now all we've got to do then is take the equation of the line, which is x plus 4y minus 13 is equal to 0. We know that x is going to be 0. Minus 13 is equal to 0. That gives you 4y is equal to 13. Just add 13 to both sides, in other words. So y is equal to 13 divided by 4. So the answer then is just going to be 0 on the x-axis and 13 over 4 on the y-axis. Okay, so that's question 1 done. Let's have a look at question 2. The circle K has equation x minus 4 to be squared plus y plus 2 to be squared is equal to 169. Write down the center and the radius of the circle. Okay, so the center can be just read off by looking at this number here and this number here. You just take each number. This is going to give you the x coordinate. This is going to give you the y coordinate here. Change the signs in both cases. So it's going to be 4 minus 2. Now the radius is going to be the 169 square rooted. So the square root of 169 is 13. So that's that one done there. Okay, is the point 11, 10 on the circle K inside the circle, outside the circle, or on the circle? Show your working out. Okay, so we have the point 11, 10, and we want to know, is it on this particular circle here, which is x minus 4 to be squared plus y plus 2 to be squared is equal to 169. So what do? We need to just put in the x and y and see what happens. So let's do that. We have 11 minus 4 to be squared plus y, which is 10 plus 2 to be squared is equal to 169. Well, we'll leave that for the moment. We'll just do the left-hand side for the moment. So this is just the left-hand side, and we'll see what we get. So if we do that, we get 11 minus 4. So 11 minus 4 is 7. So 7 squared, 49. Plus 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 squared, 144. So if we add those two together, we get 193. Now 193, this is the left-hand side of our equation. So that's actually bigger than 169, which was the right-hand side. That was the right-hand side there. So therefore, 1110 is outside the circle K. So we're going to take this box here. Okay, so that's part 2. Let's have a look at part B then. The diagram below shows two circles S and T. The circle S has center 22, 13. The two circles touch at the point 12, 11. Okay, find the coordinates of another point on S other than 12, 11. You've got 12, 11. And if we translate that over to 22, 13, how do we do that? Well, what we actually do here is, what do we do to the 12? We add 10 to give us 22. What do we do to the 11? We add 2. So if we do the same again, here, that'll bring us out to this point here. Because it's, 22, 13 is the center, and these are both the same distance, or and or there. So if we continue on out here, add 10 here, add 2 here, we'll get another point. And so 22 plus 10 is 32. 13 plus 2 will give us 15. So this point here then is 32, 15. So let's see what else we have to do here. Find the coordinates of another point on the circle S other than 12, 11. We've done that, that's fine. Okay, so the radius of the circle T is half the radius of the circle S. Find the coordinates of the center of the circle T. Okay, so again I'm going to do a little bit of a translation here. Remember that these 3 points here the center of this circle here, this point here, and this point here, they're all collinear. They're on the same line. So if we take 22, 13, we go on to the point of intersection, which is 12, 11. And then we've got to work out what this point here is the center of the other circle, the smaller circle. Well, what do we do here? We go from 22 to 12, so how do we do that? We subtract 10. We go from 13 to 11, what do we do there? We subtract 2. Now, what do we know? We know that the radius is twice, the radius of the bigger circle here is twice the radius of this circle here. So it's in the ratio 2 to 1, if you like. So what we're doing here is looking at the ratio 2 is to 1. So what we need to do then is not subtract 10, but subtract 5, half of it. Not subtract 2, but subtract 1. So from the x we're going to subtract 5, so that'll give us 7. From the 11 we're going to subtract 1, so that'll give us 10. So the answer then, the answer is 7, 10. Okay, so let's have a look at question 3. A list of 7 numbers is shown below. Find the mean of these numbers. All we got to do is add all these up. So it's 17 plus 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 14 plus 11 plus 28. And then you just got to divide this by 1, 2, 7 numbers. Yeah, so it's 7. And that'll give you your mean then. So the mean is, when you do all that, it's just a little bit of calculator work. It's 95 over 7, which is 13.6 to 1 decimal place. Find the median. Okay, so to find the median, you've got to put them in order. So to put them in order, then let's see, we've got 8, 8, that's these two. What I would usually do with this, just tick them off as you write them down, just so you don't miss any. So that's 9. Then we've got 11 and 14. So we've got 11 and 14. Then we've got 17 and 28. 17, 28. And that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got to find the median of these 7 numbers. Well, the median is the middle number. And you can see here that it's going to be 11, because you've got 3 on one side and you've got 3 on this side here. So 11 is in the middle. Another way of looking at that is just take 7 numbers, divide by 2. That'll give you 3.5. Round that up to 4. So it's going to be the 4th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the median is 11. Okay, next one. One more number is added to the list of numbers. The new median is 10.5. Find the number that was added to the list. Okay, so if we look at those numbers, we have 8, 8, 9. Now, remember 11 here was the median, and then we had 17. No, we didn't. We had 14, and then we had 14 and 17 and 28. So 11 was the median. We now want a median of 10.5, which is going to bring us down this way a little bit. So we would really just need to put in a 10 there, because we would now have an even number of numbers, 8 numbers. Divide that by 2 will give you 4. So you take the 4th and the 5th number and divide by 2. So the 4th number is 10, the 5th number is 11, so you would take 10 plus 11, divide by 2, and that gives you 10.5 as the median. So the actual question here was find the number. So the answer then, in this particular case, is 10. We would add 10 to our list of numbers in that position there. Okay, so part B then. Ben has to choose 3 subjects to study. He must pick one subject from each of these 3 groups. So you've got group A, group B, and group C. So you've got 3, 4, and 5. How many different choices of 3 subjects can Ben make, picking one from each group? So this is the fundamental principle of counting. So it's just 3 times 4 times 5. 3 4s are 12, 5 12s, 60. So the answer then is 60. Now, part 2 then. The school is going to add one extra subject to one of these groups, A, B, or C. Which group should the extra subject be added to in order to make the number of different choices of 3 subjects that Ben can make as large as possible. Justify your answer. Okay, so if we take, you can do this by trial and error, but really it's always going to be the smallest group. But anyway, we've got A, B, and C. Let's say we've got A, B, and C. We've got A, B, and C. Now initially we had 3, 4, and 5 subjects. So we had 3 here, we had 4 here, and we had 5 here. So let's do the first one first. We're going to increase A by 1 to give us 4. There were 4 here already and 5 here. So that will give us 80 choices now. Okay, so let's say we leave A at 3, we increase B to 5, and we leave C alone, so it's 5. So it's 5 5's 25, multiplied by 3 will give us 75. Okay, so let's do this one then. We had 3 here, we had 4 here, we had 5 here, so now we're going to go with 6. If you multiply those, you get 72. So you can see your answer here is going to be 80. So the answer then is, well actually what's the question? The question is, in order to make, which group should an extra subject? So the answer is add an extra subject to group A. So the answer there is A. Okay. Now let's go down to question 4. Okay, so a group of students had an exam. Each student was given a grade. The following table shows how many students got each grade. So they got a distinction, high merit, merit, and achieved. Okay, complete the pie chart. Label each sector, show out your working. Okay, the sector or distinction is already given. It has an angle of 40 degrees. Okay, so again, a couple of ways of doing this. You can use the fact that 40 degrees represents 8 students. So that means, you could do 40 degrees is equivalent to 8 students. So 1 student then is equivalent to 5 degrees and so on, and just multiply up from there. Normally what you would do to work out angles for a pie chart is you would take 12. So we're doing high merit now. You would take 12 divided by the total number of students. The total number of students is 72 when you add all these up, so 72, and then multiply by a total of 360 degrees. So in this particular case, it's this is high merit, which is 12, we'll get 60 degrees. So that's the second one down. You can do 39 over 72, this is the merit, multiplied by, that's the fraction that we need to draw, so what is that out of 360? If you do that, you get 195 degrees. And let's see, we've got 13, so we do 13 over 72, multiply that by 360 degrees, that'll give us 65 degrees. So after that, you just got to draw it. Now, as I say, if we had it done it the first way here, what you would have done was, 1 student represents 5 degrees, so 12 students is equivalent to 12 times 5 degrees, which is 60 degrees, and that's what we got over here, and so on. You do the same with 39 and 13. Okay, so we're just going to draw this now, so let's do that. Let's do the first one. Distinction is done for us. The second one is high merit, which is 60 degrees. I've got to do this freehand. You guys would really need to be using a protractor and a ruler. You would need to do this accurately. So 60 degrees, let's say, is somewhere around there. You put in the angle and you put in what it is. It's a higher merit. Okay, so the third one then is 39. That's 195 degrees, so it's a bit over 180. So let's put it down here somewhere. I haven't drawn this to scale exactly, but anyway, 195 degrees is here, and that is a merit. And the last one then should be 65 degrees. It doesn't look too accurate compared to higher merit, but anyway, this is achieved here. Okay, so let's have a look at B. A large group of people took a reading test. The scores were normally distributed with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 20. Okay, so if the mean was 100, standard deviation of 20, that would make this 120, 140 here, and then 160 here. Down here we would have 80, we'd have 60 and 40. There are 1, 2 and 3 standard deviations above and below the mean. Okay, so let's see if that helps us. Use the empirical rule to answer parts B1 and 2. So the empirical rule only. And that says we need to use 68%, 95%, and 99.7%. So this would be 1 standard deviation plus or minus 1 standard deviation, plus or minus 2 standard deviations, plus or minus 3 standard deviations. So these are the different percentages that you would need to know. Okay, so the first one then, what percentage of people had a score between 80 and 120? Well, 80 is here, 120 is here, that's 1 standard deviation above and below, so that's 68%. 68%. Okay, so let's look at the second one then. The top 2.5% of scores were given as a grade of exceptional. What was the least score that was needed to get this grade? Okay, so you're looking at 2.5%. 2.5% on one side only. We're looking at the top 2.5%. So that means there's another 2.5% down here that we're not too worried about. We're looking at a total of 5% on either side. So we're actually going to be looking at this part here, plus or minus 2 standard deviations, because that will give us a 5% on both sides, or just 2.5% on the right hand side. So really we're looking at 2 standard deviations, so we're looking at 140 here, this one here, 140. So our answer then here is 140. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one then. C, the scores of 6 people on the test were as follows. Find the range and the standard deviation. Okay, so the range is just going to be the maximum minus the minimum. So it's 105. No, it isn't. It's 113. So that's going to be 113 minus 82. When you do that, then you get 31. So that one is easy enough. The second one here, the standard deviation, you can do on your calculator. You need to use the stat mode on your calculator, put in the data, use one variable, put in the data, and then depends on the calculator that you have, but you need to just look for standard deviation then, and it should do it for you. What I got when I did it anyway was 9.8. So that's my standard deviation and range. Okay, let's have a look at 5. An equilateral triangle PQR has sides of length 8 centimeters. So this is an equilateral triangle. So this is 8 centimeters, this is 8 centimeters, this is 60, 60 and 60 degrees here. Okay, write down the size of the angle PQR. So the size of the angle PQR is equal to 60 degrees. 360s will give you 180 degrees, so that, and all the angles are the same. Show that the area of the triangle PQR is 16 root 3. Okay, a few different ways of doing this. There are a couple of different formulae in your maths tables. Let's see, you can use the area is equal to half AB sine C. You can also use the area is equal to half the base times the height. And you can also use Heron's formula, which is on page 9 of your tables. It's not one we would use very much, but it's when you have the 3 sides of a triangle you can use it. It's the square root of s times s minus a, s minus b times s minus c. And s then is given by a plus b plus c divided by s is equal to a plus b plus c divided by 2. You could find the area that way either. So a, b and c are going to be 8, 8 and 8, and you just stick it into that formula. Look, I'm going to do it, I'm not going to use Heron's formula here, I'm just going to use these ones here. So to use this one here, you've got half AB sine C. You need two sides and an enclosed angle. So we have two sides, we have an enclosed angle, so it's just going to be half of 8 times 8 times sine 60 degrees. So when you do that, you get 16 root 3. 16 root 3, and we were talking about centimeters, so it's going to be centimeters squared. And actually that's what they gave us, so that's correct. Half the base times the height. You could have done that either. If you look at your triangle here, what you can do is just drop a line straight down here. It'll divide the triangle in half, so that's a right angle there. You can use Pythagoras' theorem then to work out h. So you would say, you know that this is going to be 4 here, by the way. From here to here is going to be 4. So you're going to have h squared plus 4 squared is equal to 8 squared. That'll give you h squared is equal to 8 squared minus 4 squared. H is going to be equal to the square root of 8864 minus 16. When you do that, you get 4 root 3. So now you have the height. Now when you put it into this formula then, I'm kind of running out of room here, so I'm going to come over here. So it's going to be equal to the half the base. The base of our triangle is 8, and then we've got 4 root 3 as well. 4 times root 3, I've run out of room here. 4 times root 3, so that will give me half of 8 is 4, 4 is 16, so you end up with 16 root 3 centimeters squared. So it's the same kind of thing. Okay, so let's have a look at part 2. Hence or otherwise, find the perpendicular height. Well, I've already actually found the perpendicular height of the triangle PQR, taking PQ as the base. Give your answer in the form A root B. Now I've done that already here using Pythagoras' theorem. So all I did was I said h squared plus 4 squared is equal to 8 squared. So h squared is equal to 8864 minus 16. So h squared is equal to 48. And that'll give me h is equal to the square root of 48, which is 4 root 3. Your calculator will do that for you, centimeters. And that's all we have to do there. There are other ways of doing it as well, of course. You can use trigonometry, sine, cos, tan as well, but I won't get into all of those. Let's just move on to the next part. GHK is a right angle triangle. The angle at H is 90 degrees down here. GH is 12 and GK is 30. Okay. Using the theorem of Pythagoras, find the distance HK. Okay, so again, fairly straightforward. You've got 30 squared is equal to 12 squared plus the distance HK squared. So we have 30 squared minus 12 squared is equal to the distance HK squared. That will give me HK squared is equal to 756 when you do that. And finally then the distance from H to K to one decimal place is going to be 27.5 centimeters, I think here, yes, centimeters. Okay, so that's that one done. Let's have a look at 6. The circle C shown in the diagram below, which is not to scale, its center is at point O. The points A, B and D lie on the circle, and AB is a diameter, so this is the diameter here. That means this angle up here is going to be 90 degrees. ADB is 90 degrees. Okay, so they asked us to do that initially. So write down the angle, the size of the angle ADB is equal to 90 degrees. Let's have a look at part 2. The angle AOD is 130 degrees. Work out the size of the angle marked X. Okay, so if we look at this triangle here, we've got 130 here, so I'm going to work out this angle and this angle here. Because I know this is 90, all I got to do is subtract this angle from 90, it'll give me X. So again, there are a few different approaches here, but anyway, let's do it this way. We know that this triangle here is an isosceles triangle because this is a radius and this is a radius here. So these sides are actually all equal. That's a radius, that's a radius, that's a radius there. You could use this triangle up here as well if you wanted to. It's another way of doing it. Let's use this one. Now, to work out this angle up here, the angle ADO, so the size of the angle ADO is going to be equal to 180 degrees minus 130 degrees, and then we've got to divide by 2. If we do that, we get, let's see, 25, 130, 180 gets 50. Yeah, you get 25 degrees. Okay, so all we've got to do now is take 90 degrees, subtract 25 degrees, and that'll give us 65 degrees. And that's equal to the angle, the size of the angle AOD. Okay, so that's it, 65 degrees, that's the answer there. The radius of the circle is 18 centimeters. Find the length of the arc AD, give your answer in centimeters in terms of pi. So the arc length then, an arc length is going to be equal to 2 pi r. So it's going to be 2 times pi times the radius, which they give us as 18. I've got to multiply that by the fraction of the circle we're actually talking about. So what fraction are we talking about? We're talking about going from here to here. So that's going, the fraction is going to be 130 over 360. So it's 130 degrees over 360 degrees. So you can stick all that into your calculator, and what you end up with is just 13 pi. We have to find the length, so that's in centimeters. That's it. Okay, part B. Two statements A and B are shown below. For each statement, put a tick in the correct box to show if it is true or false. Give a reason for your answer in each case. Statement A. If two triangles are similar, then they must be congruent. So that's going to be false, and the reason is congruent triangles. Congruent triangles have the same size, angles and sides. I mean, that's explanation enough really, but let's go on a bit more. Similar triangles do not have to have the same size, do not have to have the same sides, but have to have the same size angles. Okay, maybe that's a bit more than they needed here, but that's my explanation anyway. Statement 2 then, if two triangles are congruent, then they must be similar. So this is going to be true. Why? Because congruent triangles have the same size angles and sides, okay. So similar triangles have the same size angles. Okay, so let's move on to question 7, the first of the longer questions. An animal shelter takes cats and dogs. The staff record the weight of each animal in the shelter on 2 different days. The day they are taken into the shelter, day X, and a number of days later, which is called day Y. The table below shows the weights of 10 dogs labeled A to J on these 2 days. Okay, so draw a back-to-back stem and leaf plot to show this information. Okay, so they seem to be more or less in order, but you just got to be a little bit careful So we're going to start here. It goes from 4.5, 9, 5.3, 5.3, 5, 7, 6.7, 6.9, 7.3. So they're all in order anyway. So we can just write down 4.5 here, 4.9, 5.3, 5.3, 5.5, 5.7, 6.7, 6.9, 7.3, and 7.4. On the other side then, 4.8, 5.4, 5, 6.1, 3. Okay, so these two here are not in order. We just got to be a little bit careful there. Switch those around. 7, 7.6, 8.1. Okay, we've got to switch these two around as well. Okay, so we've got 4.8, 5.4, 5.5, 6.1. Oh, now we've got 6.0 actually first, so that's actually 6.0 we've got to put in here. So this is 6.0, 6.1, 6.3. Then we have 7.0, 7.6, and then we've got a 7.9, and then we finally have an 8.1 to put in here. So that's our stem and leaf plot, and you can see that the weights do seem to increase after a certain number of days. Okay, so let's move on then. What does the stem and leaf plot show about the weights of the dogs on day X and day Y? So it shows that the dogs' weights increase so they gain weight. All the dogs gain weight, in other words. Okay, let's see the next one then. R is the correlation coefficient between the weights on day X and the weights on day Y. Based on the data in the table, pick the most likely value of R from the list below. Give a reason for your answer based on the data in the table. Okay, so if we look at the data in the table here, we can see that the weights increase anyway, so it's going to be a positive correlation. If you look at all of these, we can actually put in the difference in each case. So let's say this one increases by 0.3, this one increases by 0.5, this one increases by 0.2, this one increases by 0.8, this one increases by 5, 6, 7, 8 again, this one by 0.3, this one by let's see, 6.7, 0.3. This one increases by 0.7, this one increases by 0.8, and this one increases by 0.5. So you can see they all increase. So therefore, and they all increase by not an absolutely consistent amount, but a reasonably consistent amount each time. So what we would say then is that there is a strong positive correlation. There is a strong positive correlation between the weights on day X and day Y. So I would go for 0.9. It's definitely not negative, so it can't be these two, and it's not a weak correlation, it's a strong correlation between the two. Okay, so let's look at the next part then. So we have the table below shows the breakdown of the animals in the shelter by type of animal, cat and dog, and by sex, male or female, on a particular Monday. Complete the table by filling in the 4 missing values. So our values here are, let's see, we've got to reach 40 here, so 14 minus 40, which is 26. Let's see, you've got 11 minus 26, that's 15. Let's see, we've got 15 plus 9, so that's 24. and then we've got 11 plus 5, which is 16. So there are our values. Okay, 3 different animals were picked at random from the animals in the shelter on this Monday. Find the probability that the first animal picked was a cat. So let's see, we have 14 cats out of 40 animals in total. So the probability of picking a cat is 14 out of 40, or 7 out of 20. We don't have to give it to any decimal places, so that's fine. Okay, find the probability that all 3 animals picked were male dogs. So 3 different animals were picked at random from the animals in the shelter on this Monday. Find the probability that all 3 animals picked were male dogs. Okay, so find the probability that we got 3 male dogs. So that's going to be equal to the probability that the first one was a dog. Okay, so the first one was a dog. Let's see, there are 26 dogs out of 40, but we need male dogs, so there were 11 male dogs out of 40. Okay, so the first dog being picked at random, probability that it was a male dog is 11 out of 40. Now you've already picked a male dog, so the second dog, probability that the second dog then is going to be male is, let's see, 10 out of 39. The third animal that was picked, the probability that that was a male dog then is going to be 9. There's only 9 left out of 38. So let's see, we have find the probability that all 3 animals picked were male dogs. Give your answer correct to 3 decimal places. So what you get when you do that is 33 over 1976. And then to 3 decimal places, that's 0.017. Okay, the 9 female cats were put in 9 separate pens. Work out the number of ways in which this could have been done. That is, the number of different possible arrangements. So how can you arrange 9 different cats? So that's just simply going to be 9 factorial. So you can do that on your calculator and you'll get 362,880. So 362,880. Okay, by the end of the week, 10 of the animals had left the shelter and no new animals had been taken in. If an animal was picked at random at the end of the week, the probability of picking a dog would be 11 over 15. So the probability of a dog being picked at the end of the week is 11 out of 15. Work out how many cats left the shelter during the week. So if 10 animals left, that means there were only 30 animals in the shelter at the end of the week. So 11/15 of 30 is 22. So there were 22 dogs, so that's 22 dogs left in the shelter at the end of the week. Okay, we've got to concentrate on cats then. Okay, so the 22 that we just got plus the number of cats has to equal 30. Because if we look up here, back at our table again, this has now become 22. This has now become 30. So this 22 plus whatever number of cats are left in the shelter should give us 30. So let's just work through this. So then the number of cats that are actually in the shelter at the end of the week is 8. So we've got to work out how many cats left the shelter during the week. So we initially had 14 cats. We have 8 cats in the shelter, so it's 14 minus 8, which is equal to 6. So 6 cats left the shelter. Okay, so let's move on to question 8. The top of a particular lighthouse is in the shape of a hemisphere on top of a cylinder. The hemisphere and the cylinder both have a radius of 3 meters. Find the volume of the hemisphere. Give your answer in meters cubed in terms of pi. Okay, so the volume of a sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed. So that means the volume of a hemisphere would be half that. And if you half 4.3, if you take a half of 4 over 3, I should say, that's 4 over 6, which is 2 over 3. So really we're looking at 2 over 3 pi r cubed. So that's going to be 2 over 3 in terms of pi, so it's going to be pi. The radius is 3. We've got to cube that. So our answer there is 18 pi, and that's meters. This is volume, so it's meters cubed. Okay, so second one then. The volume of a cylinder is 36 pi meters cubed. Work out h, the height of the cylinder. So the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. Our particular volume is 36 pi, so that's going to be pi times the radius, which is 3 squared, and we've got to work out the height. So the pi's will cancel, and you get 36 is equal to 9h, so h is equal to 4 meters. Next one. The diagram on the right below shows part of the base of the lighthouse, not the scale. It is in the shape of a cone of radius 7.5 meters, from which the top part has been removed, leaving a horizontal circle of radius 3 meters. Okay, so the height of the cone before the top is removed is 47 meters, so that's this distance here. Work out the size of the angle at the base of the cone marked A in the diagram above. Give your answer correct to the nearest degree. Okay, so really what we've got here is just a right angle triangle. We've got 7.5 here, we've got A here, this is right angle here, and 47 meters here. So what we can do here is just tan. So tan of A is 47 over 7.5, so that means A is just tan inverse 47 over 7.5. So tan inverse 47 over 7.5, again to the nearest degree, which is what they want here. So that's going to be approximately equal to 81 degrees to the nearest degree. Okay. Find the distance marked K on the diagram, the height after the top part has been removed. You've got to always remember when you have a cone and they take a bit off the top, you're really dealing with similar triangles here. So let's just draw that. We've got a triangle like this, and we've got a bit taken off the top. This is 3 meters here, and down along here you've got 7.5 meters. The height is 47 meters, and we know that this is K meters here, from here to here, which is what we've got to work out. Now, 47 goes from here to here. So what I'm going to do here is use similar triangles. The formula that we can use, the sides are in proportion. So let's have a look. We can say then that 47 divided by this, I'm going to look at this small triangle up here. I'm going to call this distance here x. From there, that's from there to there. So I'm looking at two triangles. I'm looking at the big triangle and this small triangle here. They are similar triangles. So 47 over x is equal to 7.5 over 3. So if you cross multiply, then you get 3 times 47, so that's 141, and that's equal to 7.5x. That'll give me x is equal to 141 divided by 7.5, that's 18.8. 18.8. Now, once I have the 18.8, which is this distance here, all I've got to do is subtract that from 47, and that'll give me k. So k then is equal to 47 minus 18.8, and if you do that, you get 28.2. meters. So that's our K, that's our answer. Okay, so next one then. Assume that the Fastnet lighthouse can be seen from anywhere within a circle of radius 50 kilometers. Work out the area of the circle within which the Fastnet lighthouse can be seen. Give your answer correct to the nearest kilometer squared. So this is just the area of a circle. So that's pi r squared. So it's going to be pi times 50 squared, which is, we've got to do this to the nearest kilometer. So again, to the nearest kilometer, this is going to be 7854. To the nearest kilometer. Okay, next one then. 50 kilometers is equal to 27 nautical miles. Use this to work out how many kilometers are in 1 nautical mile. Okay, so we're looking for nautical miles, so put that, no sorry, we're looking actually for kilometers. We need kilometers, so put kilometers on the right hand side. So we have 27 nautical miles is equal to 50 kilometers. So 1 nautical mile then is, how do you go from 27 to 1? You divide by 27, divide 27 by 27, you get 1. So divide 50 by 27. And it says give this to 4 significant figures. So when you do this on your calculator, you'll get 1.851, little dot over the 8, little dot over the 1. That means it's 1.851, 851, 851, and so on. So we want 4 significant figures, which means you start on the left hand side at 1, 2, and then you go to 8, 5, 1. This is where your 4 significant figures will finish. So your answer here then is 1.85. Because there's an 8 after the 1, we need to round up to 2. So it's 1.852 kilometers. Okay, so let's move on to the next question then. The top of the Fastnet lighthouse F is 49 meters above sea level. The angle of elevation of the top of the lighthouse from a ship S is 1.2 degrees as shown in the diagram, not the scale. Find the horizontal distance marked D from the ship to the base of the lighthouse. Give your answer in kilometers correct to 2 decimal places. So really this is just the tan of the angle. 1.2 degrees is equal to 49 over D. So D times the tan of 1.2 is equal to 49, and then D is going to be equal to 49 divided by tan 1.2 degrees. We want this correct to 2 decimal places, and remember we have this 49 here is meters, so our answer here is going to be in meters. So when you do that, you get 2339.24 meters, and that's going to be equal to, in kilometers, to 2 decimal places, it's going to be 2.34 kilometers. That's to 2 decimal places. Okay, so let's have a look at the next question. Question 9. Sean has built a shed. The diagram below shows the dimension of Sean's shed. The shed is in the shape of a prism. Its front face is in the shape of a triangle on top of a rectangle. Its highest point is directly above the center of the base. Okay, so state which of the following statements is most likely to be true and write down a possible height for Sean that would support your answer. Take one box only. Okay, so we have 8.5 here. The first one here, it says the shed at its highest point is 3 times Sean's height. So if we divide by 3, we get 2.83. He's unlikely to be that high, that tall. So the second one then, the shed at the highest point is 5 times as high as Sean. So take 8.5, divide by 5, you get 1.7. So it's more likely to be 1.7, I think, 5 times. So I'm going to go with that. So 1.7, if you multiply that by 5, you get exactly 8.5 meters. So I'm going to say possible height of Sean, so I'm going to say 1.7 meters. Now the last one here, the shed at the highest point is 8 times as high as Sean. So if you take 8.5 divided by 8, you get 1.06 meters. He's more likely to be 1.7 meters tall than 1 meter tall, I think. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, Sean says that his shed has a capacity of over 1 million litres, where 1 cubic metre is 1,000 litres. Work out the volume of Sean's shed to show that he is correct. So what we need to do here is find the area of the front face and multiply it by 18. So the area of the front face is going to be 7 times 12 to give us the area of this rectangle here. Then we've got to get the area of the triangle, which is half the base times the height. So it's going to be half 12 times this height of the triangle here is going to be 1.5 because it's 7 up to here, 8.5 up to here, so the difference is 1.5. So let me just write all that down then. So the area of the front face is 12 times 7 plus half the base, so it's half of 12 times 1.5. Now if you do all of that, you get 84 plus 9, which is 93. So it's 93 and it's meters squared. So therefore then the volume of the shed is going to be 93 times the length of the shed, which was 18. And when you do that, you get 1674. And that's meters cubed. Now, Sean says that the shed has a capacity of over 1 million litres, so we've got to convert this to litres. So 1 cubic metre is 1,000 litres, so 1,674 cubic metres is 1674000 litres. So that's, if you like, 1.674 million litres. And that's greater than 1 million litres, which is what Sean was claiming, that his shed's volume was greater than 1 million litres, which it is. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Use the theorem of Pythagoras to find the length of the distance marked D in the diagram below, the slant length of the roof. Give your answer in meters, correct to 1 decimal place. So okay, we have our triangle here. This is the roof, this is D, this is going to be 6 meters here, it's going to be half of 12, and then you've got 1.5 meters here, it's just 8.5 minus 7. So you've got to say 6 squared plus 1.5 squared is equal to D squared, so D squared then is equal to 38.25. So that means D then is the square root of 38.25 to 1 decimal place is 6.2 meters. Okay, next one. A scale diagram of the front of the shed is shown below. One point on the diagram is marked A. Construct an enlargement of the diagram below with center A and a scale factor of 3. Show all your construction lines clearly. Okay, I can't really do this, but basically what you need to do is draw a line through each of the vertices out here. Oops, up along here. Let's see, we go up along here. And then we're going to go up along here as well. Oops, that's not very good, but anyway. You guys would need to use a ruler here, obviously. So what you do then is you measure the distance from here to here, and then you multiply it by 3. Remember, it's a scale factor 3. So when you've worked out 3 times that distance, then you measure that distance from A out to somewhere around here. You can use a compass to put in an arc here that would be 3 times the distance. Do the same here, measure the distance from here to here, then multiply by 3, so it's going to be up here. Draw an arc here somewhere using a compass. Do the same here, so measure that distance, multiply it by 3, draw an arc up here somewhere. And then the same thing here, measure that distance, multiply it by 3, draw an arc here. So it's going to be maybe somewhere here like that. So all I've got to do is connect those up then. I'm going to connect that to that. down to that, and down to this here. Not very good at all, but you get the idea. And that's really it. Okay, so obviously use a ruler, use a compass, and do it accurately. Okay, so let's look at the next one then. The diagram below shows part of the roof of a smaller shed, not to scale. Some measurements are marked on the diagram. So we have two sides here and an enclosed angle. So let's see, show that BC is 4.65, so that this distance here is 4.65 meters, correct to two decimal places. So what you've got to do is use the cosine rule here. So in other words, BC squared is going to be equal to 3 squared plus 7 squared minus twice 3 times 7 costs 30. So when you do that, you get 9 plus 49 minus 3 sevens 21, so that's going to be 42. And the cos of 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. You can stick all of that into your calculator anyway, and you get 21.62693304, and so on. It goes on and on. So remember, that's BC squared. So we've got to work out BC. And when you work that out, in other words, just square root this thing here, you will get to two decimal places, you're going to get 4.65 meters to two decimal places. Okay, so in the last part here, what have we got to do? Find the angle ACB. So ACB, so you've got to work out this angle here, and remember this is 4.65 here. So what I'm going to do here is use the sine rule. So I'm going to say sine 4.65 over sine 30 is equal to sine of our angle here divided by 3. So let's write that out. So it's going to be 4.65 divided by sine 30 is equal to 3 divided by sine of our angle, well, I'm going to call it C, okay, sine of the angle C. So next thing we've got to do here is just cross multiply. So you've got 4.65 times sine C is equal to 3 times sine 30. So that will give me sine of C is equal to 3 sine 30 divided by 4.65. Now, when you do that, you get the sine of C is equal to 0.3225 0.3225806, and it goes on forever. So that means C then is going to be sine inverse of this thing here. Now we've got to do it to two decimal places, so when you do that to two decimal places, you get 18.82 degrees, and that's to two decimal places. A survey was carried out to investigate the amount and type of exercise that adults in Ireland are taking in 2022. This survey was carried out on a sample of adults in Ireland. Write down one advantage and one disadvantage of carrying out a survey on a sample instead of a population. Okay, so we can say that it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper, and we put down two reasons. Quicker to survey a sample, and a disadvantage then is that the sample may not represent fully the population. So in other words, there will be a margin of error around the statistics from the sample. So a sample is never fully accurate. If you take one sample, you'll get one answer if you get for a mean, a median, mode, and so on, whatever you want to find out, proportion. But if you take another sample, you should get, if your sample is big enough, you should get something fairly similar, but it's usually not exactly the same as your original statistics. So it's called sampling variability. So there will be an error around sampling. A random sample of 1,500 people took part in the survey showed that the margin of error for the survey is 2.6% correct to one decimal place. Okay, so your formula for your margin of error is just 1 over the square root of n. So in our case, it's 1 over the square root of 1,500. And when you do that to one decimal place, you get 2.6%. So you'll get actually 0.025819 and so on. So you just multiply by 100 then for the percentage. 71% of this sample said that they walk for recreation. Find the number of people from the sample who said that they walk for recreation. Okay, so all we've got to do then is just get 71% of 1,500. So that's 71 over 100 times 1,500, and that is 1065. Okay, next one, use the percentage given in 1 and 2 from B to write down a 95% confidence interval for the percentage of adults in Ireland who walk for recreation. So the percentage of people who walk for recreation in 2022, we'll call it P, is going to be somewhere between, 71% on this side. We had 71% on this side, and we've got to subtract 2.6%. And on this side then we've got our 71%. We just add the 2.6%. And that'll give us our confidence interval. So let's see, it's 68.4 on this side, 68.4%, and on this side here it's 73.6. According to the 2019 Irish Sport Monitor report, 65% of adults in Ireland walk for recreation. Carry out an hypothesis test at a 5% level of significance to find out if this figure of 65% has changed in 2022 based on the results of the survey. Okay, clearly state your conclusion and give a reason for the conclusion. So the statement that's being made is, if you like, that we'll call it the null hypothesis here. You don't really have to do this in the exam. We're really just asked for the conclusion. So the hypothesis, or what's being stated, is that 65% of people in Ireland walk for recreation. So that's your population proportion, if you like. The alternative hypothesis then would be that 65% is not the correct figure for those in Ireland who walk for recreation. So again, you don't have to do this in the exam. I think they're not really asking for it. They just want the conclusion. So what we found up here in our confidence interval, that currently in 2022, somewhere between 68.4 and 73.6% of the population walk for recreation. So this 2019 figure of 65% is outside that confidence interval, so we want to reject what is being claimed. We want to reject the null hypothesis. In other words, the number of people who walk for recreation in Ireland has changed. So it is not 65%. It's not even the number of people, the proportion of people, or the percentage is really what I should say here. Okay, the reason 65% is outside our confidence interval of 68.4% to 73.6%. Okay, so the next one then, part C, assume that 20% of adults in Ireland jog for recreation. 3 adults are picked at random. Find the probability that exactly one of these adults jog for recreation. Okay, so this is a Bernoulli trial. We've got success and failure. We have, they either jog or they don't. There are a set number of trials, so 3 trials here. You're picking 3 people. The probability doesn't change, and so on. So this is a Bernoulli trial. So we want the probability here. We have done 3 trials. We want 1 success. Find the probability that exactly one of these adults jogs for recreation. The probability of success then, the probability that someone jogs is 0.2. You raise that to the power of 1. And then the probability that someone doesn't jog is 0.8. And that's 3 minus 1 to the power of 3 minus 1. So when you do that, then you get 0.384. Find the probability that exactly one of these adults jogs for recreation. So it's just 0.384, and that's it. Okay, or you can look at it another way. I mean, you can just say, well, what are the possibilities? You've got someone who, if you pick 3 people, they jog, they don't jog, they don't jog, they don't jog, they jog, they don't jog, they don't jog, they don't jog, they jog. And you do the 3 of those and add them up. The probability that someone jogs is 0.2 times 0.8 for them not jogging times 0.8. It's the same here. They don't jog, 0.8 times 0.2 times 0.8. Here it's going to be 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.2. If you do those 3, add them up, you should get the same as this here. Okay, so let's move on to the next one then. Sinead is joining a gym. She would be able to use the gym and also go to some classes. She could pay for individual classes at €6 per class. Sinead estimates that there is a 30% chance that she will go to no classes in the year, 60% chance that she'll go to 1 class a week, and 10% that she'll go to 2 classes a week. Use these figures to work out the expected value of the cost of the classes for the year. So the expected value is just going to be the probability multiplied by the cost in each case. So the probability that she will go to no classes is 30%, so 0.3. The cost is 0 because she's not going to pay for any classes. The probability that she will go to 1 class a week is 60%, so that's 0.6. And that's going to cost her €6 for every class. There are 52 weeks in the year. And then finally, 10% chance, so that's 0.1. You got to multiply that by €6 times 104 because she does 2 classes a week. So you've got to just do all of that then. It's just a lot of calculator work after that. And what you get is 249.6. €249.60. Okay. Next one then. There are 2 price plans for the gym, silver and gold. So silver costs €420 for the year, but then you've got to pay €6 for each class you want to go to. The gold membership costs €670 for the year, but you get all your classes free. Work out the least number of classes that Sinead would have to go to in a year so that the gold plan would cost less than the silver plan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say let x equal the number of classes. So that would mean then that we want the gold plan to cost less than the silver plan. So we want, in other words, €670 to cost less then let's see, the other plan then on the right is going to be 420 euros plus she's got to pay 6 euros for every class, so it's going to cost her 6x euros for all the classes. So really what we've got here is, this is our gold plan here, and this is the silver plan on this side here. So let's just work out this inequality then. So bring over the 420, subtract 420 from both sides. That gives you 250 is less than 6x. Divide by 6, that gives 41, 41.66, and so on. Now you can't have 0.66 of a class, you either attend a class or you don't, so x has to be greater than 41. So our answer is 42 classes. Now let's just check that out. So let's say she attends 42 classes. How much would the silver class cost? Well, it's going to cost her 420 euros plus 6 euros for every class. So it's 6 times 42. That's where we got this 6x here from. So let's see, 420 plus 6 times 42, that gives you 672 euros. So that's just slightly over the 670 euros it's going to cost to join the gold plan. If she takes one less class, that'll be 672 minus 6 euros, which will bring her under the 670 euros for the gold plan. So 42 classes is the correct answer in this case. Okay, so that's it for this question and indeed this paper as well.